Hey there, welcome to the jungle. Today we're going to do a little something different. Today you're going to join me in the wonderful world of worms. Not really worms, not like earthworms. These are mealworms, which are actually a immature life stage of this particular beetle, which is in the family Tenebrionidae, or the darkling beetles. Mealworms you can buy at pet stores. You can also buy them at feed stores, freeze dried, or however they store them for animal feed. But it's really easy to grow your own, so you should really do it if you use mealworms for anything, or if you want to try alternate proteins for yourself. So I use these for my pets. I have a chameleon, a frog, and a tarantula, and I like to have homegrown food for them because the pet store is very far away and it's easier to just grow them myself. So today I'm going to show you guys how to farm them because it's really, really easy. So I'll show you my setup. Ignore all the junk. This is my junk room. Anyway, this is the setup. This is just a little shelf that we had. We didn't buy it specifically for this. And some tubs that we bought for this. And we just bought whatever was on sale at Costco that day. If you look up how to grow mealworms, they're going to be really specific. You have to have this kind of substrate. It has to be so thick. And I find that you don't have to do things exactly by the book and they still go well. I've been growing mealworms for years and I have plenty. So if you're somebody who wants mealworms for your chickens or your quail or your pea hens or guinea hens, whatever you grow, this is a great way to do it. I also have a bucket. That's what I started with before I got these bins. I had a series of buckets. Anything will work. Here in Florida, it's really humid, so I don't do a tight fitting lid. I don't close it. I just have a lid that's just kind of half on, half off. And you can see I grow them in oats because, again, that was cheap to get bulk oats at Costco. You can also do wheat germ as your substrate. And I've tried grits. Grits didn't work out. I mean, it worked, but they grew really slowly and dried out fast. So you want to do a substrate. This is an older bin, so they've eaten most of their substrate by now. But when I start them out, it's at least an inch or two deep of oats. And what you do is when you go to the pet store to start your mealworm farm, you're going to get some worms. You're going to put them in a bin like this. You're going to feed them. What I feed them is this. You can see they're all over it. Carrot nubs. So I don't even feed them a full carrot, just whatever scraps we have from our own cooking of carrots. The little nubs, the little peels is what I throw in there. They get that about twice a week. And it's a moisture source and a food source. They don't need water. Don't give them water. Your enclosure will get moldy. So you're going to put your worms in there when you get them from the pet store and let them pupate. And when they pupate, I just saw one and I buried it. This is what a pupa looks like. No, I said drop it. So this is a pupa, and you're going to check it every day. And as you see your little pupae, you're going to pull them out and set them in another container. So just using this old mealworm container. So you're going to go through every day. While you're starting your farm out, this is a very fresh pupa, so I'm going to leave that guy. He needs more time to harden. They'll just be sitting here on the surface of the substrate. And just go through, pick pupae, pick them up, put them in your little cup of pupae. You're going to go through and do that. Pick up your pupae. There's a lot of them in here. Picking our pupae. Oh. It's okay if you throw them. They're not super fragile, and you're going to get enough that if some of them don't make it, it's fine. Don't be sad. You're just going to feed them to your pets anyway. Oh, there's another pupa. And then once you get your pupae out every day, and use a different container to put your pupae in every day. Slip back on. You're going to have a cup of pupae. You're going to let them sit for a few days, watch them. They're going to start hatching into adults, as you can see here. This guy has been adult for a couple days. They're going to start out really light tan when they first come out of their pupal shell. And then as they grow, they'll eventually darken. So the darker they are, the older they are. Once they get pretty dark, I'll pull them out of this pupal cup and I'll throw them in a new bin. So you're starting a new bin when you have adults. So down here, this is my new bin that I'm just starting out with fresh adults. So these are going to have, right now, I've only been starting this bin for maybe 2 weeks. So they're probably laying eggs, but there's not gonna, if there are any mealworms in there, you're not gonna be able to see them. They're gonna be teeny, teeny, tiny little baby mealworms. This bin I started, I don't know, like 6 weeks ago, maybe longer. Anyway, this one's also, it's pretty old. It's also, they're starting to pupate, so this bin is getting pretty old. And you wanna do that every, I don't know, at least once a month. Start a new bin of mealworms. Start a new bin so that you have mealworms of different ages. So you always have lots of adults to collect to feed to your critters or eat yourself if you want to try alternative proteins. And yeah, you can see that's it. It's pretty easy. I don't clean their enclosure. They seem fine living in their own waste. It's just a powdery substance. It doesn't get gross. It doesn't stink. Maybe smells a little dusty. It's like a dusty smell, but they're just in there doing their thing. Check on them, pull out the pupae, throw them any carrot, sweet potato, or potato scraps that you have. I've read some people do apple. Don't do apple. When I did apple, it got moldy. So carrots, sweet potatoes, and potatoes. Any scraps we have from those, these guys eat them. So very cheap, very easy to grow your own mealworms. This is my oldest container. It's a few months old. As you can see, the adults are all dead for the most part. This one's very old. There's a few mealworms left in here if I dig around, but for the most part, this one's done. It's going to be retired very soon. This one's the next oldest one, but they're pupating very quickly. Very quickly. Every time I turn around, there's another pupa to find. And there's lots of, if you dig around, you can see there's lots of worms in here. Tons of worms. I've given a bunch to other people with chickens and quail. I've already taken hundreds of worms out of this in the last couple of weeks, and there's still plenty. Oh my gosh, there's so many pupae there that I need to pull out. So, really worth it to add to your gardening, an indoor gardening that you can do in a way to supplement the diet for any quail or chickens or insectivorous pets you have. Maybe you have hedgehogs or chameleons like me, bearded dragon, whatever you have that might occasionally eat mealworms. You really should grow them yourself because it's not that hard. And it really doesn't take much space. You don't need a shelf like I have. These bins are flat. They could even tuck under a bed. And these guys really don't need much light. So it's that easy to take care of. You should do it. Start your mealworm farm. Oh, and this is, while we're in here, this is also where I store all my seeds. So this is my seed collection. Shoe boxes full of pill bottles full of seeds. Everything labeled. So that's my seed storage and my worm storage. And this is also, I won't show you the rest of the room. There's junk everywhere. Anyway, that's how you grow mealworms. And I hope you guys try it and let me know how it goes. Should go well. It's not rocket surgery. And oh, something you could do that I don't do is when you start a new bin, you can actually label it with the date you started it so that you know which one is the oldest and you can keep track. I just go by which one has the oldest worms, but if you want to be super organized, you can do that. I could also do that, but I don't have time for that. Maybe I have time for that, but I don't want to make time for that. I use that time for other things. Anyway, like making these videos for you guys. All right, well, thanks for watching and enjoy.